Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center, a program that focuses on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions, that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concerns the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of this and more will be Front and Center. Join me in this half-hour program here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can watch this program over Radyo Pilipinas World Service via Facebook page live broadcast. Just access our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The program Front and Center and the programs of Radyo Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.10 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. So join us for another edition of Front and Center. I am your host, Rey Sampang. Indonesian President Joko Widodo arrived in Manila on Tuesday, January 9, 2024, for a 3-day official visit to the Philippines, aimed to deepen and strengthen the bilateral ties between the Philippines and Indonesia. The plane carrying President Widodo arrived Tuesday evening at the Maharlika Presidential Hangar at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City, where he was warmly welcomed by Philippine government officials. Present during President Widodo's arrival were Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Agus Wijojo, and Madam Rani Morni Kahayani, along with Defense Attaché Colonel Bambang Wijonakarko and Francisca Donna Carmelita. Secretary Carlito Galvez, Philippine Ambassador to Indonesia, and Ambassador Gina Hamoralin, Undersecretary Rachel P. Quiñones, and Pasay City Mayor Imelda Calixto Rubiano were also present. Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. visited Indonesia in September 2022. Both the Philippines and Indonesia are founding members of ASEAN. It is also remarkable that the two nations are close neighbors and partners enjoying a long-standing and robust collaboration in various areas in political, economic, and people-to-people relations. The Philippines and Indonesia are set to celebrate this coming November the 75th anniversary of their formal diplomatic relations. During the Indonesian President Widodo's official state visit, the Philippines and Indonesia has agreed to work together to strengthen their relations in defense and security, trade, as well as infrastructure development to face regional challenges. In his opening statement during his bilateral meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo in Malacanang, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the Philippines and Indonesia must remain united to tackle the current regional challenges. Indonesia continues to be one of the Philippines' closest friends and regional partners, having many commonalities in geography, history, and culture. Indonesian President Widodo responded by making a commitment to work closely with the Philippines, especially on defense and security, trade, as well as infrastructure development. The Indonesian President likewise welcomed the strengthening of cooperation on border security, although he said there are issues that needs to be resolved. These include the need to expedite the revision of Border Crossing Agreement and Border Patrol Agreement of 1975, and the decision on the settlement of continental boundaries. Indonesian President Widodo also sought President Marcos' support for the Philippines' purchase of new warfare aircraft for the Philippine Navy from Indonesia. In the field of economy, Widodo said Indonesia is committed to keeping market access open for the Philippines, especially agricultural commodities. President Widodo also sought President Marcos Jr.'s backing to accelerate the groundbreaking of the North-South Commuter Railway Project, the joint venture of Indonesia and the Philippines. The Indonesian president also welcomed the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on Energy Cooperation and thanked the Philippines for its support with Indonesia's chairmanship of the ASEAN last year. Expressing gratitude for the warm welcome accorded to him, Indonesian President Widodo said the Philippines is the first country he is visiting this year to celebrate the 75th year of the Philippines-Indonesia diplomatic relations and to further strengthen its ties. Let us hear the statements from President Marcos Jr. as he hosted a state luncheon for the visiting Indonesian president.
The Philippines and Indonesia are not only neighbors, but also brothers and sisters, sharing a long-standing history, a vibrant culture, and common aspirations for peace and prosperity for our people and in the future. We have fostered a mature relationship built on 7.5 decades of trust, mutual understanding, and extensive engagements throughout the years. I am pleased with our cordial and substantive discussions this morning, which are reflective of the successes we have achieved in the past. I assure you, sir, that the Philippines will remain committed to working closely and actively with Indonesia as we nurture our bonds of kinship and elevate our relations to new heights.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. On the same event, Indonesian President Widodo likewise reciprocated by giving his statement. Let us hear the statement from President Joko Widodo.
This year, we celebrate 75 years of diplomatic relation and remain committed to continue to work hand in hand to strengthen our cooperation for the next 75 years. Indonesia and the Philippines have also strengthened commitment to continue to maintain ASEAN unity and centrality for the sake of peace, stability, and prosperity of our region.
You just heard Indonesian President Joko Widodo. The program Front and Center will be back after another edition of Pinoy Kultura.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
Experts say this, journalists write it, and we promote it. Sadyang malikhay ng Pinoy, yes? You hear that all the time. We merge dishes like sinigang na corned beef. We mash up songs for a laugh like Señorita by Shawn Mendes.
I love it when you call me señorita. Pintig ng puso ko'y para sa'yo.
And Lumayo Ka Man Sa Akin by Rodel Naval. And there's the timeless practice of Pinoy parents naming their kids after their meshed names, like Jovelyn or Benjamin. Pero ang isa pang mahilig ko tingtingin ng Pinoy ay language. Mga salitang Tagalog na minerge or completely inimbento, pauso. Street words or slang, made-up words or familiar words with made-up meanings only a Filipino would know, like praning, anyari, and some that have even made it to the Oxford English Dictionary, like bongga, defined as flamboyant or excellent. Bahala na, balikbayan, high blood. Yup, they're in the Oxford English Dictionary. Look under Philippine English along with other Filipino coined words. The OED has an entire Philippine English piece on it. The first editions were plant or animal names like abaca and tamarao. Recent editions include kilig, pandesal, and traffic as an adjective, defined as marked by slow movement of vehicles or congested. Filipino lexicographer Danica Salazar says the Philippine-sourced editions legitimize Philippine English as a variety in its own right. The words that got in did so from observed use online in publications and through linguistic studies. It'll be interesting to see what other Filipinized words make it next. What about keri o marites?
Yan ang Pinoy Kultura because our culture is cool.
Serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
You are still listening and watching the program Front and Center here on Radio Pilipinas world service. A ray of hope and a bright future awaits more than 360 Filipino families that was uprooted from their homes along Manila Bay due to the implementation of the Mandanas ruling. Because they will be living in their own homes in their new location in Cavite, south of Metro Manila, not far from their previous homes in Manila Bay. This, as Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., under his administration's housing program for the poor, will distribute and provide the titles and pertinent documents to more than 360 Filipino families for their permanent housing. The housing units, designed in a multi-level buildings measuring 24 square meters per unit, brings home and a bright future for the ordinary Filipino family. President Marcos personally led the distribution of the housing units and delivered his message on the said event. Here is Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Lubos po akong nagagalak na muling maparito sa lalawigan ng Cavite para sa isang na namang halagang proyektong pabahay ng ating pamahalaan. Ngayon lamang ay malugod ko pong binabati ang mga mahigit na 600 benepisyaryong kasama natin para sa sinayaan ang amin na siyam na gusali ng Phase 1 ng Syudad Kaunlaran Housing Project. Ang Syudad Kaunlaran Phase 1 ay binubuo ng siyam na low-rise na building, kagaya nitong nakikita natin natapos na may 5 palapag. Aabot sa 540 pamilya ang mabibiyayaan ng mga pabahay na ito. Ang proyektong ito ay bunga ng pagtutulungan ng NHA, ng local government, ang pamahalaan ng Bacoor, iba pang ahensya ng pamahalaan at pribadong sektor ay kasama rin natin. Ito ay upang makapaghatid ng ginhawa para sa mga Caviteñong apektado ng writ of continuing mandamus ng Supreme Court sa paglilinis ng Manila Bay at paglilikas ng mga pamilyang nakatira sa baybayang ito. Bilang agarang tugon, pinabilis po natin ang kanilang relokasyon sa bagong pabahay na ligtas, di kalidad, komportable at may maayos na pamayanan. Sa katunayan po, tayo ay nagsagawa rin tayo kanina ng groundbreaking para naman doon sa susunod na itatayo na 2 pang gusaling itatayo ng Phase 2 sa Syudad Kaunlaran. Dagdag ng 120 pamilya ang makikinabang dito. Hinihikayat ko po ang ating mga benepisyaryo na pagtibayin ang pakikipagtulungan sa ating pamahalaan upang mapanatili ang kaayusan at kasaganahan sa komunidad ng ating binubuo. Nitong 2023, umabot sa mahigit na 80,000 pabahay ang naitayo ng NHA sa buong bansa. Sa kasalukuyan, ang NHA ay patuloy na nagsisikap na makapaghandog ng pabahay sa mga mas maraming Pilipino pa na nangangailangan ng kanilang titirahan. Isama pa rin natin ang mahigit 700 milyong piso na ipamahagi sa pamamagitan ng Emergency Housing Assistance Program sa may 150,000 pamilya na naapektuhan ng kalamidad tulad ng sunog, ng baha, lindol at bagyo. Hangarin po ng inyong pamahalaan na panatilihing may sapat na pondo upang mapunan ang pangangailangang pabahay ng nakakarami. Tuloy-tuloy po ang NHA sa pagbuo at pagtutupad ng programang pabahay para sa pamilyang Pilipino. Sa tulong at pakikipag-ugnayan ng DHSUD sa pamumuna ni Secretary Jerry Acusar, ay ito'y tuloy-tuloy at hindi namin titigilan. Tunay nga po na ang ating pagdalo sa mahahalagang okasyon na tulad nito ay sumisimbolo ng aking pangako sa sambayanan na may angat ang antas ng pamumuhay ng bawat Pilipino sa pamamagitan ng bagong bahay tungo sa bagong buhay. Itong Syudad Kaunlaran ay puno ng bagong pag-asa. Hindi lamang para sa mga benepisyaryo, ngunit para sa lahat ng makakakita ng tagumpay ng proyektong ito. Tinatawagan ko po ang lahat ng mga benepisyaryo na gamitin ang biyayang ito upang mapaunlad ang inyong mga buhay at matiyak ang magandang kinabukasan para sa inyo at para sa mga pamilya ninyo. Sigurado po ako na ang Siyudad Kaunlaran at iba pang mga proyektong pabahay ng pamahalaan ay magiging daan natin tungo sa bagong Pilipinas na karapat-dapat para sa lahat ng ating mga mamamayan. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po. Happy New Year po. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. But before we go, there's another bright development in the Philippine government's efforts to address the issues and needs of the country's agriculture sector. After only 1.5 years in office, the administration of President Marcos Jr. has already completed 51% of the target 131,410 kilometers of the government's Farm to Market Road Network program within 6 years. Of the target, President Marcos Jr. said that the government has already built more than 67,300 kilometers, which is 32 times of road trips from Apari to Jolo. The President assured the Filipino people that the administration will continue working until the completion of the target of more than 131,000 kilometers before the end of the administration and will continue to build better more. Here's the report of President Marcos Jr. on the government's ongoing Farm to Market Road projects.
Yung sa Farm to Market Road, I am happy to share significant updates sa ating Farm to Market Road Network program. Ang ating dapat maging target is 131,410.66 kilometers sa 6 na taon. Maaari ko na mai-report na 51% of that nabuo na natin. We have built 67,328.92 kilometers. Katumbas nito na para tayong pabalik-balik mula Apari hanggang Hulo ng 32 times. Kaya't mahaba-haba po ito. It is a testament to the magnitude of the accomplishment of the government. It is not an initiative only to do with agriculture. It is a connection between all the different communities, but of course, its main purpose is to connect the markets and the producers sa ating mga agricultural sectors lalo. Patuloy naman namin gagawin ito. Mukhang mabubuo naman natin yung ating 131,410 kilometers at nakapag 51% na tayo at patuloy naman natin gagawin ito. So, we will continue to build better more.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. giving his report on his administration's Farm to Market Road projects. And that wraps up another edition of Front and Center. I hope you enjoyed today's edition of this program here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Again, you can watch this program over Radyo Pilipinas World Service via Facebook page live broadcast. Just access our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also catch every Front and Center programs over our YouTube channel. Just type in your YouTube browser, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The program, Front and Center, and the programs of Radyo Pilipinas World Service can also be listened to the following shortwave frequencies: 12.010 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. Together with our producer, Mr. Erwin Peñano, and technical personnel, Mr. Leo Magpayo and Mr. Milo Jonella at the Master Control, this is your host, Rey Sampang. Join us again in another episode of Front and Center. Mabuhay and love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.